The Battle of the Alamo, fought between February 23rd and March 6, 1836, stands as one of the most iconic events in American history. This pivotal battle during the Texas Revolution encapsulates the fierce struggle for independence from Mexico and the spirit of resistance that defines much of Texan identity. To fully understand the significance of the Battle of the Alamo, it's essential to delve into the broader historical context, the key figures involved, the course of the battle itself, and its lasting legacy. The origins of the Texas Revolution can be traced back to the early 19th century when Mexico, having recently gained independence from Spain in 1821, invited settlers from the United States to colonize its northern province of Texas. These settlers, primarily from the southern United States, brought with them their customs, culture, and even slaves, which soon created tensions with the Mexican government. Mexico had abolished slavery and sought to impose its laws and Catholic faith on a predominantly Protestant American settlers. Additionally, the Mexican government's centralist policies, which aimed to consolidate power in Mexico City, were deeply unpopular among the settlers and the Tejano, the Hispanic residents of Texas who had lived there for generations. By the mid-1830s, these tensions had reached a breaking point. In 1835, open rebellion broke out as Texians, the name adopted by the Anglo-American settlers, and their Tejano allies began resisting Mexican authority. The conflict quickly escalated, leading to several skirmishes and the capture of key Mexican garrisons in Texas by the insurgents. One of these captured sites was the Alamo, a former Franciscan mission located in San Antonio de Bejar, modern-day San Antonio. The Alamo had been converted into a makeshift fort by the Texian forces, who understood its strategic importance as a defensive position. As the year 1836 began, the Texians were preparing for an inevitable confrontation with the Mexican army. General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna, the president of Mexico and commander of its army, was determined to crush the rebellion swiftly and decisively. Santa Anna viewed the Texian uprising not merely as a local insurrection, but as a serious threat to Mexican sovereignty. He believed that by retaking San Antonio and punishing the rebels, he could send a clear message to other potential revolutionaries across Mexico. Santa Anna led a large force of around 6,000 soldiers northward into Texas. As they marched through harsh winter conditions, the Mexican army experienced significant hardships, including a shortage of supplies and desertions. Despite these challenges, Santa Anna was resolute in his mission to quell the rebellion. By February 23, 1836, his forces arrived at the outskirts of San Antonio, where they immediately began laying siege to the Alamo. The Texian defenders inside the Alamo numbered approximately 200 men, though estimates vary slightly. They were commanded by Colonel James Bowie, a renowned frontiersman, and Lieutenant Colonel William B. Travis, a young lawyer from Alabama. Among the defenders was also the legendary figure David Crockett, a former U.S. congressman and frontiersman from Tennessee, who had come to Texas seeking a new life. The Alamo's defenders knew they were vastly outnumbered, but they were committed to holding their position against the Mexican army. The siege of the Alamo began on February 23rd, with Santa Anna's forces surrounding the fort and cutting off any potential avenues of escape or reinforcement for the Texians. Over the next several days, the Mexican army bombarded the Alamo with cannon fire, hoping to weaken the defenders' resolve and breach the walls of the fort. Despite the relentless bombardment and the grim reality of their situation, the defenders refused to surrender. In a now famous letter, Travis appealed for reinforcements from the people of Texas, declaring his intention to fight to the last man. His letter, known as the Victory or Death Letter, became a powerful symbol of the Texian resistance and their determination to achieve independence. As the siege dragged on, it became clear that the defenders would not receive the reinforcements they desperately needed. The Texian forces elsewhere in Texas were scattered and unprepared to mount a relief effort. Santa Anna, recognizing the growing desperation inside the Alamo, decided to launch a full-scale assault. In the early hours of March 6, 1836, he ordered his troops to storm the fort. The final assault on the Alamo was a brutal and chaotic affair. Santa Anna's troops, organized into columns, attacked from multiple directions, scaling the walls and breaching the fort's defenses. The Texians fought fiercely, engaging in hand-to-hand combat as the Mexican soldiers poured into the Alamo. Despite their valiant efforts, the defenders were eventually overwhelmed by the sheer numbers of the Mexican forces. The battle lasted less than an hour, but it was marked by intense fighting and significant casualties on both sides. By the end of the assault, nearly all of the Alamo's defenders had been killed. Estimates suggest that between 182 and 257 Texians died in the battle, with only a small number of non-combatants, primarily women and children, spared by the Mexican forces. Santa Anna ordered that the bodies of the defenders be burned, further cementing the battle's place in history as a tragic and heroic last stand. The Mexican army also suffered considerable losses, with estimates of Mexican casualties ranging from 400 to 600 soldiers. Despite their victory, the Mexican forces had paid a heavy price, and the battle left Santa Anna's army weakened and demoralized. The fall of the Alamo had a profound impact on the course of the Texas Revolution. News of the battle spread rapidly, both within Texas and across the United States. The Alamo became a rallying cry for the Texian forces, who vowed to avenge the deaths of their comrades. The phrase "Remember the Alamo" became a powerful slogan, symbolizing the sacrifice and determination of those who had fought for Texas independence. The battle also galvanized support for the Texian cause, attracting volunteers and financial aid from the United States. In the weeks following the Alamo's fall, the Texian forces regrouped under the leadership of General Sam Houston. Houston, recognizing the strategic importance of drawing Santa Anna's forces deeper into Texas, employed a strategy of tactical retreat, luring the Mexican army into a vulnerable position. On April 21, 1836, Houston's army launched a surprise attack on Santa Anna's forces at the Battle of San Jacinto. The battle was a decisive victory for the Texians, who captured Santa Anna and forced him to sign the treaties of Velasco, effectively granting Texas its independence. The legacy of the Battle of the Alamo extends far beyond the Texas Revolution. In the years and decades that followed, the Alamo became a symbol of American courage, sacrifice, and resistance against tyranny. It has been immortalized in literature, film, and popular culture, often romanticized as a heroic struggle against impossible odds. The story of the Alamo has inspired generations of Americans, particularly in Texas, where it remains a central part of the state's identity and pride. However, the memory of the Alamo is also complex and has been the subject of historical debate. Some historians have questioned the portrayal of the battle as a purely noble and righteous cause, pointing to the broader context of American expansionism and the displacement of Native American and Mexican populations. The Alamo's defenders, while undoubtedly brave, were also part of a movement that sought to expand slaveholding territories and assert Anglo-American dominance in the region. This aspect of the Alamo's legacy has prompted re-examinations of how the battle is remembered and commemorated. Today, the Alamo stands as a historic site and museum in San Antonio, visited by millions of people each year. It serves as a place of reflection and education, offering visitors the opportunity to learn about the events of 1836 and the broader history of Texas. The site itself is a reminder of the sacrifices made by those who fought and died there, as well as the enduring significance of the battle in American history. In conclusion, the Battle of the Alamo was a defining moment in the Texas Revolution and a key event in the broader narrative of American history. It was a battle fought not only for independence but also for identity and the principles of freedom and self-determination. The story of the Alamo continues to resonate today, both as a symbol of heroism and as a reminder of the complexities of history. Whether viewed as a tragic last stand or a pivotal moment in the struggle for Texas independence, The Battle of the Alamo remains an enduring and powerful chapter in the American story. You said,